What's up, everyone? This is WDBM with Kaina here. We are in a sunny Friday morning in Austin. I just wanted to ask, how are you doing? Is this your last day of South by? I know you have one more show that I've seen. How many more shows do you have in total?
I have one more show tonight. It's with the new label I'm working with, City Slang. It's going to be amazing. We're raising funds for Texas Choice, so they fly out people out of Texas to get abortion. So we're raising funds for that tonight. It's going to be amazing. What do I have tomorrow? I have Radio Day stage with Vocalo Radio, hometown radio station in Chicago. And then I'll just be chilling here in Austin till Monday.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool. I think that showcase tonight, is that the one that also has like Los Bichos and Pom Pom Squad?
Yep.
That's such a cool lineup.
They're amazing. Got to meet Los Bichos at my last showcase, and they're so fun. And I love Mia from Pom Pom Squad. Met a couple times, so I'm excited to hang with the crew.
For sure. That sounds really cool. And I'm going to jump into a question about your new album. I just wanted to ask, it seems like a lot of the inspiration for your new album, It Was a Home, which came out only a couple weeks ago on March 4th, I believe.
Yeah.
A lot of the inspiration from it came from how you've drawn from like the love and the joy that you experienced growing up with your family, and how you've like begun to emulate that and live that in your current home and community. What's something that gives you that like same feeling of warmth or compassion in your life, like back home today?
Back home today, definitely my cats. This is kind of like my first real trip away from my cats because they're pandemic cats. So I'm like missing that. But I don't know, back home, just my community, like my friends give me that feeling, and that's kind of what I'm talking about in the album, just like the things that I've been able to find at home during the last 2 years that, I don't know, give me that sense of, I don't know, warmth. Yeah.
For sure, most definitely. One of the favorite tracks on the new album for me is In My Mind, and it like flows seamlessly into like Ultraviolet, the song with Sleater Kinney, and I don't know, it seems like it's a song, or Ultraviolet is that song that's like, it seems to me that it's trying to like answer and combat that like thread of helplessness that's like on In My Mind, that I think is like really cool. Not that thread of hopelessness. That's not cool.
It is.
But I wanted to ask, like, what goes into like the sequencing of tracks on your album? Because it seemed like intentional or just like seamless for me. So what goes into that sequencing on your the tracks for the album?
What goes into the sequencing is sometimes kind of random. Like, I think when I wrote Anybody Can Be in Love, I was like, this just is the intro, like it has to be. And then when I wrote Golden Mirror, I was like, okay, this is the end of the show, right? So I think things like that just happen all the time. And then for In My Mind and Ultraviolet, I kind of just told Sen, who's my partner and co-executive producer, I was like, okay, what if we made these flow into each other? He like dropped in the Ultraviolet session and we didn't do anything. It just worked. So there's sometimes like special moments like that where it just happens. And it was so lucky that In My Mind and Ultraviolet just worked out that way.
That's cool. That's like magical.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't even try, but it just worked.
That's really cool. Yeah. That's like actually a perfect segue into my next question. All 3 features are absolutely crazy on the album. As you just mentioned, Sen Morimoto's on it, Alado Negro, and Sleater Kinney, all just like absolutely crazy features. So how did some of those features come about? Yeah,
so with Sen, it's super organic and natural. We live together. I was like, do this. He was like, okay. It's actually the last thing we recorded before we submitted it, because we decided last minute that we wanted something on Good Feeling. And then for Sleater Kinney track, I got to open for them for their Center Won't Hold tour, and it was just one of those things where they're like, we should work together, whatever. And like sometimes you don't know. I think that's a thing artists say, and I think it's okay to not work with everyone you meet. But in this circumstance, I had made this track. I had made Ultraviolet. It's a beat I made, and that's my guitar playing.
That's really cool.
And I never, ever play instruments on my music because I feel like I can't execute my ideas. But it's a really old beat of mine, and I was just like, this would be so badass to get even guitar from any of them.
Yeah.
And then I got, guitars back from Carrie Brownstein, and then Corin sent a verse, and it was just Sen and I in our little Chicago apartment mixing Sleater Kinney vocals, and we were like, this is insane.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And then with Alado Negro, I think, we're trying to start a rumor that we're cousins. I think people will believe it. And we met doing a show where we were both opening up for Kuko, and then we just kind of hit it off, and I think we both make similar music, or music with the same intent, at least. It's very like, his voice is such an embrace, it's such a hug, it's so soothing, and so I just wrote this song and I was like, it would be perfect to have him on it.
Most definitely. Yeah, and they all seem like a part of the album and like cohesive, and I don't know, I love them all as well.
Thank you.
My next question, you mentioned in an interview with MTV that in early 2021 you challenged yourself to journal Monday through Friday, construct a song on Saturday, and begin production on it Sunday. And it resulted in like a bunch of material that would come to like get on this album. How did you like that particular structure?
It was really good for me. I think I'm someone who knows a lot of things and is very self-aware, but I lack discipline. So it was nice that I was able to build that structure in for myself. It was a little psychotic of me, but it was good. I remember telling all my friends, this is what I'm doing, and they were like, are you okay? And I was a little not okay. I was just trying to flex my songwriter muscle again after like a year of not writing. So it was really good for me, but it was good for me because I'm someone who thinks like Sen and I can finish a song in 2 hours from production to writing.
Wow.
And that wasn't happening during the pandemic for obvious reasons because life was crazy. But I think breaking things down in this way helped me realize that I don't need to like be that way all the time. Like I can let myself have like freedom of expression Monday through Friday, and then Saturday be like, okay, now I'm focusing on those lyrics, and then Sunday let me work on production. I don't have to finish the song in a sitting. I can take my time. So
yeah,
it was helpful for my brain.
That makes sense. It seems like building in structure is sometimes like you can sometimes relax. You have like a direction, I guess.
Yeah.
For sure. And then is there a particular song on the new album that like began with this process?
Definitely It Was a Home. It was the first song I wrote after a year of not writing, and longer because I was touring and then the pandemic happened. So first song I really wrote coming, out of the pandemic funk, which we're still in. But yeah, it was a special song, and I like cried really hard after writing it. I don't know, just felt like this whole album process was like figuring out that I had feelings I hadn't been in touch with, or I hadn't had the time to be in touch with till those 2 years. So yeah.
For sure. And I guess this is a related like quick follow-up. What's the best piece of like songwriting advice that you've been given by like a peer or a friend, or just it could be related to like song structures as well?
Well, Sen always laughs at me because I had this creative writing teacher in high school, Miss Meacham. She was incredible. She's an incredible teacher, but she'd always say in our writing to not repeat words. So it's hard to describe. Like if I say, whatever, I want to feel like the sun, I love the sun, I wouldn't repeat the word sun. So that's a stupid one that Sen laughs at me all the time, but it's because I remember her being like, you said this word again, don't do it. So now I literally, it still is with me. That's a silly one. But it does help because it pushes you to think of words, outside of what you're leaning towards. Just get your brain to be more creative about things. And then I would just say take your time is a good one. That's what I learned this last one. Just take your time. And sometimes the first thought is the best one, even if it repeats.
For sure. Yeah. Sometimes going with that gut feeling is definitely the move.
Yeah.
I just have a couple more questions for you. So it already has been an absolutely like crazy year for music and like art in general in 2022. So I just wanted to ask, are there any specific albums, books, poems, or like stories in particular that you've been drawing inspiration from or just enjoying this year?
Yeah, I mean, for this project, listen to a lot of Carole King, Tapestry, and then Stevie Wonder's Like an Idol. That's easy to listen to all the time, and really influenced this project. And I did that Come Back as a Flower cover, just Stevie Wonder. And then books, I was reading All About Love by Bell Hooks when I wrote Golden Mirror, and trying to read more, trying to fit more time in my brain for things like that. But what else have I been watching? Love is Blind, so trash, so horrible. And they're in Chicago, so I was like, not these people. I'm like, let me see one of you outside. Shake.
Are they real?
Whoever watched it, Shake. Coming for you in Chicago. Really loved Silas Short's album last year, one of my favorite ones. he's from Milwaukee but lives in Chicago. Really think he's truly up next. And listened to a ton of Pom Pom Squad too.
Of course, me too.
It was so good. It's one of my top, albums last year too. But yeah, listening to a lot of unreleased Namdi, unreleased Sen. I'm
course.
Lucky.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I was about to ask as a quick follow-up, any peers or friends specifically from Chicago, but I guess Sen for sure.
Yeah.
Is Namdi in Chicago?
Yeah, Namdi's in Chicago as well. Namdi, Sen, and I are currently working on a project for a mentee, Kara Jackson. They're an incredible poet, and they were like youth poet laureate of in maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They're incredible songwriter. They're really special. So we've been working on that album, which is really exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And just my last question for y'all, or for you, is touring is like absolutely grueling, and like it takes a lot out of you, and it's like draining. And especially I guess in Body where you're playing a bunch of shows in like a city, like you are with South by. So I just wanted to ask, is there something that you do that like grounds yourself in like the chaotic moments between shows or in tour? And a lot of musicians, I guess, that we've talked to, they just like don't like to listen to music sometimes. But is there anything you do?
I think we do listen to music in our van. Like we listen to Charlie Wilson, which is really so funny and specific. Listen to a lot of like TikTok music, like Pink Pantheress. I love her. That was also a fave last year.
It's so good.
So good. And actually like incredible songwriter too. But I don't know, I'm getting older and I'm trying to be kinder to myself, and I've been like someone who runs around the Chicago music scene since I was 16 and started like hanging out places I shouldn't have been way before 21, and I'm trying to be nicer to myself and take my time. And I actually, for South by, we packed up our NutriBlender.
Yeah, nice.
We went to Whole Foods and we got some smoothie stuff. We got some cold cuts, and I was like, you know what? I know Austin is taxing right now because it's South by, and you should. Fair enough, but I'm going to bring my smoothie stuff. I'm going to bring my blender, brought my clothing steamer, just trying to make decisions that will help me feel more grounded, even if I'm, moving around a ton. But just being kinder to myself and being like, okay, you're not 16 anymore. I'm 26. I'm still young, but I'm tired.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I'm just like, it's okay if I can't make the 1 a.m. hang.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah.
Awesome. That makes sense. Yeah. That's all I have. Thanks again for coming to talk with us on, I guess it's shaping up to be a really nice day.
Yeah. It's kind of windy.
Yeah, I know. These buildings, it feels like a little like vortex.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks again. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Kaina with WDBM.